Hello students, today let's deal with the topic Technology Innovation Transfer. Let me brief you in the summary first. Technology transfer is a two-way flow of technical information and materials among the farmers, researchers and those who disseminate technologies. Technology production, delivery of technologies to clients, that is farmers or farm women, monitoring and evaluating the use of technologies at client or village level are the main steps of technology process. The way technology is transferred is explained through various models such as technology transfer model, social change model, conscientization model, participation model and empowerment model. Each model has its own way of defining technology transfer and reaching the society. The term technology is a broad term and individuals contextually define. In the context of extension, technology is the purposeful application of information in the design, production and utilization of goods and services and in the organization of human activities. Now let's learn about types of technology. An emerging technology is an innovative technology that currently is undergoing bench scale testing, in which a small version of the technology is tested in a laboratory. Next, an innovative technology is a technology that has been field tested and applied to solve a problem at a site, but lacks a long history of full scale use. Information about its cost and how well it works may be insufficient to support prediction of its performance under a wide variety of operating conditions. An established technology is a technology for which cost and performance information is readily available. Only after a technology has been used at many different sites and the results fully documented, that technology is considered established. Now let's learn about nature of technology. Technology should intervene to reduce and if possible eliminate drudgery. It should be within the comprehension of the beneficiaries and suited to the rural situations existing in different parts of the country. Technology should be such that would enable users to earn a living wage, interpreted as that comparable to the ruling agricultural wage in a particular area. Technology should improve skill productivity and quality. Technology should use more and more of renewable sources of energy and less of depleting sources. It should result in increased production and consequently additional employment, though it may in the incidence appear to throw people away from their present occupation. Technology in the final annotation should mean utilization of newer range of materials available in the countryside and production of essential goods or need, opening fresh avenues of employment for the large masses of unskilled labor. It does not begin and end with the improvement of tools, instruments, machines, etc., but will also embrace techniques and diversification of production. Technology is a continuous process of experimentation and hence will not remain static at any time. Technology should retain the artisan in the village itself and should not be an instrument to motivate migration to urban areas. The innovation may represent a slight modification of or a significant departure from the existing idea or practice. Innovation is an idea, practice or object that is perceived as new by an individual or other unit of adoption. It does not really matter whether the idea is objectively new, that is, it has been recently innovated or discovered. If the idea seems new to the individual, it is an innovation. Newness of an innovation need not just involve new knowledge. Some may have known as an innovation for some time, but not yet developed a favorable or unfavorable attitude toward it or have adopted or rejected it. The newness of an innovation may be expressed in terms of knowledge, persuasion, or decision to adopt. For example, a computer is no longer an innovation for an urban child, but for a rural child who has never seen a computer, it is an innovation. Similarly, many rural women in remote areas have never seen a washing machine. Here, it does not matter when these equipments were invented, till the rural women gain knowledge and develop an attitude towards these items, it is an innovation for them. A new variety of crop may have been developed 20 years back, but if the farmer has heard about it only today, then it is an innovation for him. An innovation is almost always a technology. A technology has been defined as a design for instrumental action that reduces the uncertainty in the cause-effect relationships involved in achieving a desired outcome, which in simple terms means a technology that which makes a job easier and more convenient, and its outcome is almost certain. Usually, technology consists of hardware and software. Hardware is the physical aspect of the technology. For example, a pen that you hold in your hands is hardware. Software is the information base for the tool, the basic principle of how the ink flows in the pen and other aspects of the insertion of nib, etc. Now let us learn what is diffusion. Diffusion is the process by which an innovation is communicated through certain channels over time among the members of a social system. It is a special type of communication in that the messages are concerned with new ideas. It is this newness of the idea in the message content of communication that gives diffusion its special character. The diffusion of innovations is essentially a social process in which subjectively perceived information about a new idea is communicated. Diffusion is the process by which innovations spread to the members of a social system. Diffusion studies concerned with messages that are new ideas, whereas communication studies encompass all types of messages. More effective communication occurs when source and receiver are homophilous, that means similar. Now let us learn diffusion process. Diffusion of innovations refers to the spread of those innovations through a population and is simply the result of a host of individual adoption decisions. If individual adoption decisions are to an extent predictable, then the larger diffusion process is also predictable. It follows a pattern, and that element of predictability has substantial implications. Therefore, the diffusion process can be explained with the terms given by Rogers as the spread of a new idea from its source of invention or creation to its ultimate use of adopters. The diffusion of innovations is essentially a social process in which subjectively perceived information about a new idea is communicated. Technology transfer is a two-way flow of technical information and materials among the farmers, researchers, and those who disseminate technologies. This definition extends the meaning of extension beyond association with the traditional public sector to involve services provided by other institutions such as non-governmental organizations, private firms, educational institutions, and producers associations. Linking is nothing but if you conduct research to develop technologies, you need to link your research to farmers and technology transfer groups. Researchers link to farmers through on-farm research to ensure that the results of research solve farmers' priority problems. Researchers link to transfer of technology groups through validation of technologies and pilot projects. The link ensures impact through a wider dissemination of technologies. The two links complement each other and one cannot replace the other. The main processes of research are discovery, exploratory development, and technology consolidation. Discovery. the process of collecting information and searching for relationships among variables. This process includes basic or strategic research. Exploratory development, the process of identifying, understanding and controlling interaction between a proposed technology and the socio-economic and physical environments. This process includes applied research. Technology consolidation involves transforming the results of research into a new technology package. It includes adaptive research. The main processes of technology transfer are technology production, delivery of technologies to farmers, monitoring and evaluating the use of technologies. Technology production, the process of providing materials in sufficient quantities to those who are responsible for delivery. Delivery of technologies to farmers. Promoting the technology to farmers, this can be done through many channels. Monitoring and evaluating the use of technologies. Studying the adoption rate by farmers and the impact of technology. Many researchers and institutions may be involved in transferring technology. Transfer of technology differs from extension in the following ways. It provides inputs and services such as training on use of technologies or inputs, indigenous knowledge, credit, health services, infrastructure, entrepreneurship, etc. Extension, the way it is applied in many countries, is mostly limited to information delivery. Even though extension is usually limited to government institutions, non-governmental institutions can transfer technologies. Transfer of technology facilitates a two-way flow of information. Farmers, development agents and researchers exchange information during the process. Planning and implementation and for transfer of technology activities. Transfer of technology model. The pure transfer of technology model was the dominant approach of agricultural research in the 1950s. In this, the generation and diffusion of innovation is a linear process from rich country research institutes to poor country research stations and from them to extension officers and to farmers. The underlying assumptions were the most modern is the best. There is a single frontier of world scientific knowledge. Agricultural technology has global transferability irrespective of local ecological conditions, and poor country farmers are traditional and must undergo a quantum of transformation to the modern. The transfer of technology model sees the farmer as a passive recipient of new technology. If the farmer adopts the technology, then the farmer is progressive. In this model, according to Chambers and Gillial 1985 and Sachs 1992, researchers' breakthrough is transferred to extension for delivery to end users. The model sees farmers as either adopters or rejectors of technologies, but not as originators of either technical knowledge or improved practices. It views technology transfer as a linear process where the farmers are passive recipients of new technologies. According to Rawlings 1991, failure to adopt is usually attributed to psychological factors such as conservatism, traditionalism or irrationality. It usually succeeds in delivery of technology only to progressive farmers. Let me tell you about social action model. The social action model is a theory of social work practice. The social action model is a key to socio-political empowerment for work with oppressed groups, communities and organizations. The model strives to reallocate socio-political power so that disenfranchised citizens, that is, the people who do not have freedom or rights, etc., can access the opportunities and resources of society and in turn find meaningful ways to contribute to society as valued human beings. The social action theory was founded by Max Weber. The idea of social action, according to Weber, is based on a set of assumptions, namely Human beings are social animals. The behavior of one person affects others both negatively and positively. Society is unequal. In order to make society more equal, we must engage in taking social action from the side of the less equal. These actions bring about positive social change, which is linked to the idea of equality. Hereunder, we have different types of social actions. Traditional action, action that is custom or habit. For example, giving gifts at marriage. Effectual action, action that is expressed at an emotional state. For example, crying when somebody died. Value rational action, action towards a goal when person regards as desirable. For example, not to bribe or not to be bribed. Instrumentally rational action, a highly rational form of action where people calculate the most effective means of achieving a given goal. For example, a diabetic adopting a therapeutic diet suggested by dietitian. Now, let me tell you about the participation model. The participation model was developed in the augmentative and alternative communication realm and was adopted to act as a tool to promote inclusion. The model looks at the things that typically developing peers of the same age as the person with complex communication needs need to be able to join in the various communication situations they are likely to be involved in. This information is then used to determine what communicative interaction the person with CCN could or may need to engage in, as well as how interactions could be made more effective. Complex communication needs result from significant speech, language, or cognitive impairments. The individual can no longer communicate in conventional ways. Area of clinical practice that supports and meets these needs is augmentative and alternative communication. Use symbols, aids, strategies and techniques to improve success and effectiveness of communication. This model takes account of the following 4 areas. Existence of communication participation patterns. For example, when school first starts, do children spend time chatting or does everyone go straight into class? What communication opportunities exist for these situations? Is there an opportunity to use a quick greeting and then to share some news or ask a question about what a friend did the night before? Barriers to participation in communication situations. For example, a child with complex communication needs may not have learned to use a wave or a smile to people when they first arrive at school, or they may not have their speech generating device put on their chair until lessons start, so may not be able to share news about what they did the night before. The effectiveness of previous strategies to enhance participation. For example, it may be obvious that although the child with CCN has tried to use a smile and a wave, the other children at school don't understand that this is a greeting and don't respond. It may be necessary to train their peers to recognize and respond to the communication signals that their classmate is using. New potential strategies to enhance participation. For example, the child with CCN may need to be encouraged to use a smile or to wave and use a voice output device programmed with "Hi, how are you?" Sherry Arnstein, writing in 1969 about citizen involvement in planning processes in the United States, described a ladder of participation with 8 steps. So now, let me explain you about Arnstein's ladder of participation. It has 8 rungs on the ladder of citizen participation. First, manipulation, and 2, therapy. These both are non-participative. The aim is to cure or educate the participants. The participants' plan is best, and the job of participation is to achieve public support by public relations. 3, informing. The most important first step is to legitimate participation, but too frequently the emphasis is on one-way flow of information. There is no channel for feedback. 4. Consultation. Again, a legitimate step: attitude surveys, neighborhood meetings and public inquiries. But Einstein still feels this is just a window dressing ritual. 5. Placation. For example, co-option of hand-picked worthies onto committees. It allows citizens to advise or plan, but power holders retain the right to judge the legitimacy or feasibility of the advice. Number 6. Partnership. Power is in fact redistributed through negotiation between citizens and power holders. Planning and decision-making responsibilities are shared, for example, through joint committees. Number 7. Delegated power. Citizens holding a clear majority of seats on committees with delegated power to make decisions. Public now has the power to assure accountability of the program to them. Number 8. Citizen control. Have-nots handle the entire job of planning, policy making and managing a program. For example, neighborhood corporation with no intermediaries between it and the source of funds. So, now let us enter into the conscientization model. The founder of the theory is Paulo Freire. His thesis is that social change should come from the masses and not isolated individuals. Freire's literacy method is founded on the notions of conscientization and dialogue. It involves teaching adults how to read and write in relation to the awakening of their consciousness about their social reality. Conscientization is a process of developing consciousness, but consciousness that is understood to have the power to transform reality. It is an awakening of consciousness, a change of mentality involving an accurate, realistic awareness of one's locus in nature and also society. The capacity to analyze critically its causes and consequences, comparing it with other situations and possibilities, and action of a logical sort aimed at transformation. The assumption of this model is organizing community for intrapersonal and interpersonal communication, that is dialogue. Literacy of people is essential for social change. He means literacy more than just being mechanically competent in reading and writing skills, but also to be competent in skills in terms of consciousness. This kind of teaching is not imposed from the top, but takes place in a shared investigation or in a problem rising situation between educator and educatee. The emphasis is on the critical analysis and the creativity of the educatee in order to discourage passive behavior of the educatee or learners. Freire's literacy method is founded on the dialogical and dialectical relationship between the educator and the educatee, who in this relationship should learn together. Comprehension and communication are inseparable and occur simultaneously. Extension agents must be aware of this observation when working with the people. For example, in dealing with a fact such as soil erosion, the extension agent should use a system of symbols which are intelligible to the people to understand his or her technical terminology. Now, let me explain you about the empowerment model. Empowerment is a multidimensional social process of increasing the capacity of individuals or groups to make choices and transform those choices into desired actions and outcomes. This process creates the power to use these choices in his or her own life, community and society, with individuals acting on issues that they define as important. The empowerment model arose from the feminist movements of the 1970s, which framed sexual and domestic violence within a social, cultural and historical framework of inequality between the sexes. This feminist model frames the violence by men in intimate relationships as a result of power differentials that serves to keep the woman subordinate. This model is based on the belief that everything possible should be done to restore power to victims through validation, community and celebration of their strengths. The empowerment model seeks to return a sense of personal self-worth, to listen to the victim and to allow them to make their own choices and to support the victim's process as they move forward and take control of their own life. Other interventions may consider the victim disordered as if she were tarnished or sick. The empowerment model seeks to identify and challenge the external conditions of their life to promote resilience in the face of adversity and to make the victim the primary player in discussions and decisions about their own life. WISE chose the empowerment model with the understanding that this is an effective technique when working with people who have experienced sexual or domestic violence. The process of empowerment is a process which enables one to gain power, authority and influence over themselves, institutions or society. Empowerment is probably the totality of the following similar capabilities: having decision-making power of one's own, having access to information and resources to make proper decisions, having a range of options from which you can make choices, not just yes or no, either or, ability to exercise assertiveness in collective decision making, having positive thinking on the ability to make change, ability to learn skills for improving one's personal or group power, ability to change others' perceptions by democratic means, involving in the growth process and changes that is never ending and self-initiated, increasing one's positive self-image and overcoming stigma, increasing one's ability in discrete thinking to sort out right and wrong. In short, empowerment is the process that allows one to gain the knowledge, skill sets and attitude needed to cope with the changing world and the circumstances in which one lives. So students, what I explained just now are the few models of technology transfer. Do you have any questions?
Ma'am, I have a question. Why do we need links in technology transfer?
Yeah, good question. We need links between researchers, farmers and technology transfer groups because research is focused on priority needs and problems of farmers. Therefore, results from experiment stations are used to solve farmers' problems. Farmers and technology transfer workers keep up with research developments. Technologies are tailored to suit local conditions. Relevant technologies are widely promoted and adopted. Farmers have access to the information, inputs and services required to adopt technology. And also, researchers can have access to farmers' knowledge. So, here we completed part 2 of Changing Trends in Extension. Thank you.